They're impressed, or I'm impressed. Cool. We're going to go ahead and start. We'll need 2 blocks and a blanket today, and we are actually going to start standing. So once you have all your props, you'll go ahead and put your blocks towards the top outer corners of your space. And then your blanket, we can go ahead and preset in the middle of your space. If you find at some point that that is irritating for you, you can also just move it off to the side. I typically leave mine there, but I do realize that for some people that could be irritating. I've gone ahead and muted everyone. So we'll just start standing at the top of your space and go ahead and separate your feet about hip distance apart. Allow your eyes to either soften or the gaze to close down completely. And then just take a few moments to maybe wiggle around in your body, maybe shifting the weight right to left, feeling how the weight is distributed across the feet, maybe rolling the ankles a little bit if that feels good, or rolling the wrists. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. And you'll bring both of your hands to the back of your pelvis like you are a waiter or something standing at attention. So the palms just face back behind you. And you'll start to take your gaze over your right shoulder and see if you can keep everything pretty similar, pretty stable. And you do just look over your right shoulder and notice what you feel along the left side of the neck. On your next in-breath, see if you can find a little bit more weight into the feet, a little bit more lift through the spine. And then exhale, softly toning the belly. Next in-breath, come to center, and then take your gaze over your left shoulder. And as you go to the left, notice if you can keep your head directly on top of your spine, or if it feels like your chin is turning just a little bit, and see if it can be neutral. And again, you're just breathing. Next in breath, go ahead and come to center. Release the arms down by your side and just notice what you notice. We're working on a lot of shoulder work today. So go ahead and bring your hands back behind you. Switch the opposite hand. And then this time you're going to start to hug your elbows towards each other and then start to look over your right shoulder again. Now really pay attention to what's happening in your left neck. See if you can soften and breathe into your front ribs, right around where your diaphragm attaches, and you just pause and you breathe. Keep hugging the elbows towards each other. Gently release that. Inhale, come back through center. Take your gaze over your left shoulder. Again, hug the elbows in towards each other. Breathe into the right side of your neck. Root down through your feet. Great. Go ahead and come back through center. Let's interlace our hands with the webbing now, and you'll just draw the hands back behind you. And now with your hands free, you might tip your right ear towards your right shoulder and reach your hands back. So this is a different stretch, and you just pause and you breathe. And then inhale, come up to center, and then tip your left ear towards your left shoulder. And then again, just pause and breathe. Notice what you're noticing happening on the neck. Great. Inhale, come back through center. Gently release the hands and just take a moment to notice the shoulders now. Now we're going to start to create a series of shoulder circles. So you'll draw your shoulders forward, you'll draw them up, and you'll draw them back. And we're going to take 4 of these. And you're going to take the slowest, biggest shoulder circles that you can. And you'll notice that maybe your head wants to get involved. So maybe when you come forward, your head drops forward. And when you draw the shoulders back, your head looks up. Great. Last circle here. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then the next time you're in neutral, pause there, draw your fingertips to your shoulders. And then we're going to draw circles with our elbows, seeing if you can touch your elbows in front of you. Elbows come up and elbows go back and elbows go down. And you've got 4 of these. And you might include the head as well. You might not. We're just trying to see what's happening, how the breath is working. One more on your own. And then this next one will gently become bigger. So now you'll use your whole arm to the best of your ability. So giant circles like you're swimming in water, and you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're moving in your full range of motion. And after you've taken 4, you'll just let the arms hang for a moment. You might lift and lower the shoulders. You might shake out the arms, but just notice what you feel happening in the shoulder joint. And then we'll go ahead and switch that. So now your shoulders will come back towards each other. They'll come up, they'll come forward, and they'll come down. And you just do 4 of these. So we're working on doing a little bit of prep work to start to warm and engage the shoulders before we start to get into a practice that I guess I'm calling a retrograde practice. In dance, you would often learn, I think this should be our 4th one. So go ahead and bring your fingertips to the tops of your shoulders and go ahead and reverse those circles. So elbows go back first, they come up, they come forward together and down, and 4 of those. In dance, you learn a sequence of movement one way, and then you reverse it. So you have to, like, if you were to go A, B, C, D, you would go D, C, B, A. And so we're kind of creating a sequence today and doing that. And now we should do 4 big circles with our arms. And by that, all I mean is we're going to start with some of the poses that ordinarily we would do a little later in practice. And then we'll gradually wind down and see what effect that has on our internal state. Great. And after you've done 4, again, you might bounce the shoulders up and down. You might shake out the arms. But just take a moment to notice how you feel and how you're breathing. So we haven't been paying attention to our breath so much. We're going to do that now. Go ahead and bring your hands to heart center. Press your palms into your sternum. Lift your sternum into your thumbs. And I want you to just take 3 big breaths here. Really seeing if you can widen the rib cage as you inhale. And then noticing if you can really root down into the feet as you exhale. So widening the breath and grounding the breath. 2 more. Last one. With your hands here, interlace the fingers. Send the heels of your hands forward and away from you. Go ahead and round your spine a little bit so your forehead will reach towards, or rather the crown of your head will reach towards your hands. Your chin comes to your chest. Your heels of the hands press forward. Feeling this rounding in your upper back. You can choose to stay in stillness or maybe shift your hands a little bit to the left or your hands a little bit to the right. And the more that you round the upper back, the more you might feel stuff going down the back and the side body. And then we'll go ahead and come back to neutral once we've gone to both sides, and then reach both arms up and overhead. Send the heels of your hands up, root down through your legs, and take a big, long, steady breath. When you're ready, you'll gently start to bend your knees, and you just reach up through the hands and feel like you're trying to let your pelvis be heavy as your rib cage becomes light as your hands reach up. And then go ahead and straighten the legs, lower the arms, and just notice what you notice now. Okay. Bring hands back to heart center. Interlace the fingertips, but take awkward opposite interlace. And then once again, send the heels of your hands forward. Press the hands forward, pull the upper back round through the upper spine. Just take a few moments to breathe here. Again, you might shift the hands over to the right or over to the left. And just feel how if you really let your upper spine round, you can find some fun spots in the upper back. Once you're balanced between both sides, go ahead and come back to center. Reach both arms up and overhead and take about 3 breaths here. So again, reaching up through the heels of the hands, finding the ribs lifting away from your waist away from the hips. And from there, start to bend the knees like you're sitting in a bar stool or something. So pelvis becomes heavy, arms reach up. Nice work. Go ahead and straighten the legs, lower the arms, and again, shake that out. Cool. Last thing before we get started, separate your feet about outer hip distance apart, and you're just going to take some twists. So like you're one of those sprinklers. You're throwing your arms. And I want you to notice what happens if you keep your head sit still and center, or what happens if you let your head go along with the ride. So you just explore both. And we'll do this for about another 10, another 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Start to slow down. 3, slow down. 2, slow down. 1. Go ahead and come to stillness. Great. Okay. Cool. Draw your feet back to hip distance apart. Bring your hands to heart center. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. So our focus is on retrograding today. The essence is really about being able to go backwards. And I've been struck by this idea of how we can get back to the essence of something as a means of reconnecting and as a means of going forward. So as you're here for these next few breath cycles, I just want you to notice the basic simple premise of your breath. Notice if you can start to deepen the breath. Notice if you can start to just drop into the breath a little bit more by letting go of any of the things you don't need to hold on to. The worries, the thoughts, the concerns, what happened before, what may happen next. Just drop back into the breath. We're going to take 3 of these. The next time you breathe in, you'll inhale and circle sweep your arms out and up and overhead. As you exhale, the palms face down and they wash over the front of your body, grounding your energy down. Palms come all the way down towards your pelvis. And we'll do 2 more. So inhale, sweep the arms out and up. And then as you exhale, the palms face down, the elbows bend, the hands come down towards the pelvis. Yep. Big in-breath, sweeping the arms out and up. And then exhale, grounding the energy down, drawing the palms down. This next time, as you inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. Go ahead and interlace your hands. Turn the heels of your hands to face up. Then from here, we'll go ahead and bend our knees and set our butt really low and far back. Cactus the elbows. And with your elbows reaching out to the right and to the left, you'll draw your elbows forward a little bit, your palms back. Hug the shoulder blades together on your back and take a deeper breath. On your next exhale, go ahead and straighten the arms and straighten the legs. Bring your hands now to your hips. Inhale, heart and sternum reach forward, and then exhale, start to hinge forward halfway. Now, once you get halfway, you'll just take a moment to push your thighs back, root down evenly into the top, or rather the front and the backs of your feet. And then you'll start to let your head drop forward. At this point, notice if you want to bring your hands to the blocks or the hands to the floor. And you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe here as you notice what it feels like to really find the extension in the legs. And we want to make sure that we're not hyperextending the legs. And let the head be heavy. And you just take 3 breath cycles here and you just notice what it feels like. Some of those things that we started warming up in the back a little earlier, notice if you feel them a little bit more acutely now. And you just pause and you breathe. On your next in-breath, let's go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bring your hands to your blocks, bend your knees, and step your right foot back and plant the foot down for like a pyramid pose. From there, you'll walk the blocks back so the blocks are underneath your shoulders. And you'll just take a few breath cycles here. Notice what it feels like to press your outer right foot down, to press your left sit bone towards your left big toe. If you can reach your spine forward just a little bit more so it's parallel to the floor as you draw your low belly in, you just pause and you just breathe. Nice job. On your next in-breath, go ahead and bend your front knee, that's your left knee. Start to make your fingertips light, and then bring your spine up to vertical for a warrior 1 shape. To start, we'll bring our hands to our hips and just make sure that your feet are wide enough apart for you. From there, you'll bring your hands to your low back and interlace your fingertips. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears and hug your elbows towards each other, shoulder blades towards each other. From there, you'll start to reach the hands back, the heart forward, and just take a few breaths, breathing across the chest, the upper part of the abdomen. Fantastic. Nice work. From there, gently release the hands, reach them out and up and overhead. And just take a breath cycle here, really rooting into the feet, feeling that stretch across the front of your right thigh. Nice work. Next, exhale, hands come through heart center. Bring your hands now to your hips. Shift your weight forward to come onto the ball of your right foot. You might need to bend your right knee a little bit in order to step your right foot forward. Great. From here, draw the right knee back. Reach around with your right hand, grab your right foot with your right hand. And then you'll notice that here you can draw the right elbow back, the right shoulder blade back as you reach your right knee down, lift up through your crown and root into your left leg. Nice work. From there, gently release the right leg. Take a moment to stand with both feet hip distance apart and just notice if you notice anything different between the two sides. Cool. Let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms out and up and overhead. And then exhale, palms face down, washing down the front of the body. So you've got 3 of these. So inhale, the arms sweep out and up and overhead. Then once at the top, the palms face down, they sort of draw the energy down the body, rooting it down into the legs. Great. Last one. Exhaling, rooting the energy straight down. Nice. This time, inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Go ahead and interlace the fingers, opposite awkward interlace. Send the heels of the hands up, and then go ahead and bend your knees. Now, as you're here, you'll still reach up through the hands, root down through the hips, and then release the clasp of the hands to bend the elbows. Now, with your elbows bent at this cactus shape, the elbows feel like they slide forward an inch. The palms, the hands feel like they slide back. See if you can lengthen up through the crown as you root down through the feet. Next, in breath, you'll find a little bit more length. And as you exhale, straighten the arms, bring them alongside your hips, straighten the legs long. Great. Adding on, inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. This time, exhale, hinge forward at your hips, palms come through center all the way down to blocks or floor. Great, and you'll just take 3 breath cycles here, and you just notice, how does the weight feel now? How does it feel between your right side, your left side? How are you feeling it in your sacrum? Great. Go ahead and inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then as you exhale, plant your hands on the blocks, bend your knees, and step your left foot back for pyramid pose. So spinning the whole sole of the left foot down, walking your blocks back so they're underneath your shoulders. And you just take about 3 breath cycles here. So you really root down the left pinky toe edge of the foot. You draw your right sit bone down towards your right big toe. You reach your heart forward and find that length through your spine. And you just pause and you breathe. And you notice how this is happening and experiencing or being experienced for you this moment. Awesome. On your next in-breath, go ahead and bend your front knee. Start to make your fingertips light. And then start to bring your spine up to vertical. So we've got warrior 1 going on. And again, we'll bring our hands to our hips. Make sure the distance right to left is appropriate for you. And then bring your hands behind your low back. Again, take the awkward opposite interlace. Draw the elbows towards each other, shoulder blades towards each other, heart lifts. And then maybe you reach the arms or that one hand away from your head and you just pause and you breathe. Notice what's happening on the front of your left leg. Nice work. Gently release the hands, sweep them out and up and overhead, and just take 2 to 3 breath cycles here in Virabhadrasana 1. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. On your next exhalation, hands come through heart center. And then gently bring your hands to your hips. Shift your weight forward to come onto the ball of your back foot. Bend your back knee and then step to the top of your space. Now we'll go ahead and bend that back knee. Grab your left foot with your left hand. Hug your left shoulder and elbow back and see if you can lift up through the heart. And you'll notice that if you draw your left knee a little further back, you might find more stretch along the front of your left thigh. Great. Gently release that. Take a moment to just notice what you notice and pause and breathe. Great. Let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, hinge forward at your hips, forward fold, Uttanasana. From here, inhale, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms on the blocks, and again, step your right foot long and back. Now, this time we're going to take it super long, super long, super long. Great. Really root down into your front foot, root down into your back foot, and then you'll see if you can start to scissor or hug your inner thighs together. Then start to make your fingertips a little bit lighter, and then keep hugging your feet together as you inhale and reach your arms up and overhead for high crescent lunge. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Long, smooth, steady breaths. Fantastic. On your next exhale, hands come through heart center. Bring your hands back down to the floor, removing your blocks if you need to, and then step your front leg back to meet your back leg plank pose. And then you've just got about 3 breath cycles here, and you'll notice what you notice, long, smooth, steady breaths. Great. The end of your next exhalation, you'll inhale, shift your weight forward, lower your knees down, and then bend your elbows and lower your torso down. Nice. Okay, extend the tops of your feet onto the floor. Isometrically pull your hands back to reach your heart forward. Press into your toenails a little more, hug your elbows back, hug your shoulder blades back, and lift into your cobra, whatever height feels appropriate for you. Nice work. Go ahead and exhale, lower down. Curl both sets of toes under, scoop your low belly, press up to hands and knees, and then back to downward facing dog. And then you'll just take a few breath cycles here. Here's your very, very first down dog. And just notice how your hamstrings feel. Notice how your shoulders feel. And then just notice if you're breathing. Nice job. All right. On your next in-breath, go ahead and raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees and start to walk your feet towards your hands. Once your feet are at the top of your space, again, see if you can shift the weight forward a little bit in your feet so that you can feel the whole back of the leg strong, or rather engaged. Next in-breath, start to curl up the spine. So you'll draw your tailbone down and roll up the spine, bone by bone by bone, vertebra by vertebra, taking your time. When your head is finally stacked, you might circle the shoulders once again so you feel like your chest is open. Great. Okay, move on. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Again, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms. This time, step your left leg long and back. If you already did your left leg, then do the other leg. From there, root down into your front foot, root down into your back foot. Start to scissor your legs together so your inner thighs are active. Hug the feet together and then bring the spine up to vertical. From there, go ahead and reach both arms up high for Ashtha Chandrasana and just take a few breaths here. Feeling the stretch happening in the back leg, the back foot, maybe up through the fingers, the broadening of the chest, the deepening of the breath. Nice work. Next exhale, hands through heart center. Draw your hands down to the blocks, or the floor rather. And then with your hands on the floor, step your front foot back to meet your back foot, plank pose. And you just take another series of 3 breaths. Big breath in and big breath out. Great. On your next in-breath, shift your weight forward, lower your knees down, bend your elbows, reach your heart forward, lower your chest down. Awesome. From there, again, extend the tops of the feet to the floor. Press your toenails down as you push your fingertips down and pull your hands back to reach your heart forward. Now from here, you'll think of hugging your elbows towards each other, the shoulder blades onto the back, and see if you can lift a little bit more into your Bhujangasana, your cobra pose, by using the engagement of the spine, the engagement of the shoulders. Nice. Gently release. Curl both sets of toes under. Draw your low belly in, come up through hands and knees, and then make your way back to downward facing dog. And then again, just take a moment to pause and take a moment to breathe. Nice work. Inhale, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees and again, walk to the top of your space. Once you're at the top of your space, again, just notice how it feels between right and left. Let your head be super heavy. And then inhale, roll up your spine, starting at the pelvis, going through every single vertebra, noticing how that feels. Maybe the shoulders circle up and back and down when you get all the way to the top. Nice. Okay. Moving on. So we're going to repeat those 3 circles. So the arms come up and overhead, the palms face down, the elbows bent, grounding the energy. 2 more just like that. So this is something I learned from a teacher this week. It's for a vata calming practice. Really just trying to ground our energy. We're right now in a change of season, which means that movement energy that's very present and alive in most of us, it's very active. So it can become a little overstimulated at times. All right, let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. This time, exhale, hinge at the hips, hands through prayer, come all the way forward. Great. From here, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step your right leg long and back. This time we're going to lower our right knee down to that blanket underneath us. And notice if you need to inchworm your left foot forward just a little bit. Great. Some of us will bring our hands to our blocks and we will stay right here. Some of us will bring our hands to the belly of our front thigh and we will stay right there. Some of us will reach our arms up and overhead and we will stay right there. We've got 4 breath cycles. So I want you to see what it feels like if you push into your front foot, you push into your back knee, you hug those points together, you find a little bit of length along the front of your right side body. You just pause and you breathe. Nice work. On your next exhale, arms open out. They come down to your hips. Let's go ahead and interlace the hands. Draw the shoulders up towards the ears, the shoulder blades down together on the back body, and just reach the arms away from you. Draw the top of your right thigh back, just a smidge. Top of the right thigh back as the right knee drags forward. Great. From here, we'll release. Bring your hands forward to your blocks. Shift your weight back so your butt goes back in order to straighten your front leg. And then you'll start to walk your blocks back. This is very similar to our pyramid pose, but we're now on the floor. Now pay attention to your front leg. Some of you will keep the sole of your left foot on the floor. Some of you might want to explore lifting the whole sole of the foot away from the floor. You might even shift that left leg forward just a smidge. Wherever you are, I want you to think of drawing your sternum and your sit bones away from each other. So they're one line away from each other. And then simultaneously think of drawing your hips and your heels also away from each other while you pull your hip and your heel towards each other, just so we find a nice stretch along the back of our left leg. Right. Next in breath, we're going to go ahead and bend the knee, shift our weight forward. Now this time we'll bring both hands inside the front of our left leg. Some of you will lower your hands, or rather lower your blocks. Some of you will get rid of your blocks entirely and put your hands on the floor on the inside edge of your left leg. Some of you might be like, yeah, I'm good. And you might put your forearms down on the floor or blocks. But you've got about 3 to 4 breath cycles here. And I want you to choose based on what's allowing you to become more effortless, what's allowing you to get more to your natural essence. For me, I notice I have to back up. So sometimes I won't go to my depth so that I can get back to the essence, the ease with which things can be experienced. Nice job. If you're on your forearms, come back up to your hands. This is going to be awkward. I'm not going to lie. You're going to take your front knee back to your back knee. Yep. Okay. Then shift your butt back so your hips are over your knees. Walk your hands forward for Anahatasana. Now pull your hands back towards you isometrically. Allow your ears to rest in between your arms and let your forehead drip towards the floor. And you've got about 3 to 4 breath cycles here, feeling the arch in the spine, the lengthening of the front body, the deepening of the breath. Nice work. Next in breath, go ahead and slide the hands back a little bit, shift your weight forward, bend your elbows, lower your chest down to the floor. Great. Extend the tops of the feet onto the floor. Again, press down through the hands, press down through the feet. Isometrically pull the hands back, reach the heart and sternum forward. This time you'll reach your feet so far back that they float up off of the floor. Legs are long and strong. And then hug the elbows towards each other and hover the hands away from the floor for 3. Lengthen out through the sides of the neck for 2. Out through your big toes and pinky toes for 1. Exhale, lower all the way down. Curl the toes under, your choice, hands and knees or plank. Yep, and then back to downward facing dog. And you just got 3 breaths. And you notice what you notice. How the breath is working, how the body is working, how you're feeling in this moment. On your next in-breath, sweep your right leg up and back. And take a moment to pause here. Really scissor the legs towards each other as you reach your left heel down, reach your right heel up. Some of you will point through that top foot, bend the top knee, and stack your right hip on top of your left as best as you can while you reach down through your left heel. Nice job. Next exhale, hug your knee to your chest. Step your right foot between your hands. Aha, look at that. Shift your weight forward just a little bit to find your low lunge. So again, you're going to start to make your fingers light. You're going to scissor your inner thighs together, pull your feet together, and inhale, come back up for high crescent lunge. Yeah, nice job. And just take a couple breaths and you notice. Fantastic. Next exhale, hands come down to the floor or the blocks. Bend your back knee. Step to the top of your space. Great. Now you just take a moment to hang here and you notice what you feel. How's the breath? How's the body? How's the right leg compared to the left? When you're ready, you start to roll up the spine. So you inhale, you drop the tailbone, you roll through the vertebra. Once your shoulders are over the hips, you might then circle the shoulders back so the head lifts up, shoulder blades down. Great. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms up and overhead. This time, interlace the heels of the hands, or interlace the fingertips, send the heels of the hands up, bend the knees and sit back for that weird chair pose. And you just pause and you breathe, you reach out through the hands, finding that length. Great. Next in breath, stand up, straighten the legs and lower the arms. Okay, let's move on. Other side. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Hands come through prayer. With the fingers on the blocks or floor, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees and then step your left leg long and back. Lower your left knee to your blanket. And notice if you need to walk your right foot forward. You might bring now your hands to your blocks and stay there. You might bring the hands to the center of your front thigh, or you might reach your arms up and overhead. But we've got 4 breaths. So you're going to push into your front foot, push into your back foot, or back knee rather, hug those points together. And you're drawing the top of your left thigh back as you're drawing your left knee forward so that we can find a fun stretch happening in the middle of the quad. Nice job. On your next exhale, arms open out. Bring your hands to your low back. Again, take the awkward opposite interlace. Send the heels of the hands back, the shoulder blades together. Heart lifts and you just pause and you breathe. Breathing into your chest around your armpit area. And then when you're ready, gently release, shift your hands to your blocks or the floor. Then go ahead and push into the front leg to shift your pelvis back and straighten your front leg long. Now, this is where we've got variety. Some of you will keep the sole of your right foot completely on the floor and you'll feel a stretch across the top of your right shin. Some of you will peel the sole of your your right foot away from the floor, and you might notice that you want to slide your right heel a little bit further away from you. And then our key action is we want to think of our heart and our sternum reaching away in opposition. And then same thing with your heel and your pelvis, reaching away in opposition, but then pulling your heel and your pelvis towards each other. So two different actions happening in that leg. And you just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. Nice work. Last breath cycle here. Next in breath, you're going to bend your front knee, plant the foot, shift your weight forward and bring both blocks or hands to the inside edge of your right foot. Now again, you might adjust your height by staying on the blocks. You might lower the blocks. You might stay on the hands. You might go down to the forearms. But you just take a few breath cycles here in this lizardy shape to pause and breathe and just notice what you notice. And those of you that are on your forearms, bring your hands back to the mat. And then as best as you can, step your right foot back, or rather right knee back to meet your left knee. Shift your pelvis back for Anahatasana. Walk your hands forward for Anahatasana. And then take a few breath cycles here, isometrically pulling the hands back, lifting up through your armpits, drawing your hips back, allowing your forehead to descend towards the floor. Next in breath, shift your weight forwards. You might need to slide your hands back a little bit so that you can bend your elbows, come through that chaturanga position, lowering belly, chest, and thigh at the same time to the floor. Extend the tops of your feet onto the floor. Again, isometrically pull the hands back to pull the heart forward. Then reach back through the big toes and the pinky toe mounds. Hug your elbows towards each other. Maybe hover your arms off. And breathe for 3 in locust, for 2, and for 1. Go ahead and lower everything down. Curl the toes under. Your choice, hands and knees or plank. Coming up and making your way back to downward facing dog. And then you just take a moment to pause and you take a moment to breathe and you notice, how's the body? How's the breath? How are you? How does your practice enable you to strip away some of the things that are no longer serving? One of the great things about fall is that is what it's asking us to do or reminding us that we can do. Next in breath, go ahead and sweep your left leg, up and back behind you. And again, scissor the legs together for a moment. Feel that deepening stretch on the back of your right hamstring. Some of you will point through your your left foot, and bend your left knee, and stack your left hip on top of your right. And you just pause and you breathe. Awesome. On your next exhale, draw the left knee forward, plant the left foot between your hands. Now make sure your feet are grounded. So really root down front foot, back foot, scissor the legs together, make the fingertips light, and then inhale, come up for high crescent lunge. Yeah, nice job, guys. You pause and you breathe. On your next exhale, hands come through heart center, fingertips to the floor. Bend your back knee, step to the top of your space. Right, from there, let's take one inhale, halfway lift, heart reaches forward. And then exhale, let the heart fold in, chest folds towards your thighs. When you're ready, root down through the feet, roll up from the tailbone all the way up. And then again, when you get to the top, you might circle the arms down. And then just take a moment to soften the gaze, close the eyes, and just notice how you feel now. Notice where the breath is most prevalent in the body. Notice the energy that you might experience through the legs and through the feet. Okay. Going back to our 3-arm circles. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up and overhead. And then exhale, palms face down, drawing the energy down the front line of the body all the way to the legs, through the feet, the floor. And you're just following your own breath, noticing how this actually is enabling us to slow down our breath. It's allowing us to get a little bit more present and alert. Great. This next time, we'll go ahead and inhale and circle sweep our arms up and overhead. As you exhale, bring your hands to heart center. We're going to pause here. I want you to press your palms into each other, and then you're going to look at your feet. Some of you might want to separate your feet a little bit wider than your hips. And then, as awkward as this sounds, you're going to start to bend your knees. Now, our blanket is still back there behind us. As we come all the way down, if you find that you want to put that blanket under your heels, by all means, go ahead and do that. If you feel like you're like, yeah, I'm going to put a block under my butt, go ahead and do that. But we're going to stay here for a few breaths. You're going to press your palms into each other, reach your heart and sternum forward, and just breathe in this version of Malasana. Nice work. Okay, go ahead and gently release your butt to the floor. Bring your hands to the backs of the legs and extend your legs forward in front of you, Dandasana. Now, you might want to sit up on your blanket. You might not. That's totally up to you. But we want to take a moment to be pretty straight in our spine, legs active, toes pulling back, heart lifts up. And you just notice what you notice. Okay. Bring your hands back alongside your hips. Go ahead and cross your left ankle over the top of your right thigh and externally rotate that leg. And then bend your right knee and draw your foot closer towards you. Now, at this point, I want you to adjust. Some of you might be like, yeah, I want to turn my hands the other way. So you might do that. Some of you might feel like you want to draw your left knee closer to your chest. And that allows you to send your pubic bone forward and then externally rotate that left leg. And it gives you more intense stretch on that left outer hip. Some of you might want to draw the shoulder blades together on the back as you push the hands back and reach your heart forward, but you're paying attention to how much you are breathing into that hip. And you just pause and you breathe. Okay. From there, we're going to gently come out. So gently release it, shifting the right leg forward, the left leg forward. Take a moment in Dandasana and just notice what you notice. Wiggling feet if needed. And then we'll try that on the other side. So hands back behind you, cross right ankle over the top of your left thigh, externally rotating the thigh bone, and bend your left knee. Draw your left heel close to your pelvis. And again, notice, does it feel interesting to draw your right knee towards your right armpit, to send your pubic bone forward, and then to externally rotate that right thigh to feel a little bit more stretch? And then what happens if you push down through the hands and hug the shoulder blades together and lift up through the chest and the heart space? You just pause and you breathe, flexing through that right foot. Awesome. Okay. Gently release that. Send your left leg forward and your right leg forward. And then at this point, you might want to move your blanket just for a little bit if you've got it there. Bend both of your knees, plant your feet firmly on the floor. Bring your hands so your fingertips and your toes are facing in the same direction. So hands are back behind you alongside your hips. Push down through feet, push down through hands, slide your hips forward, lift your hips up. Draw your shoulder blades onto the back, lift the spine, and maybe your head drops back, maybe it doesn't, but you just take a couple breath cycles here, really lifting your butt up towards the sky. Yep, pushing down into your feet. Nice job. Gently draw your chin to your chest, lower your butt to the floor, and go ahead and sit tall once again. Cool. Now, you're going to tuck your left knee underneath your right, and you're going to cross your right foot outside of your left. Now for this, I want you to bring your right hand towards your right hip and sort of hook it on the inside edge of your thigh. And then you're going to wrap your left arm around your right. Now with that right hand, you can really root down your right hip and find space between your belly and your thigh. And then you can really kick your right shin bone into your left arm as you pull your left arm into your right shin bone. And then notice if you can lift up a little bit higher through the spine. And then notice if you can draw your right ribs back away from the thigh and allow your left ribs, armpit, chest to come towards your right knee. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice the rotation happening in the spine. Great. On your next in-breath, you'll gently unwind. Bring your hands to the floor, extend your legs back in front of you, and just take a moment to notice if you notice any difference between the sides. And then when you're ready, we'll try the other side. So the right shin comes to the floor, the right foot comes outside of the left hip. The left foot crosses to the outside edge of your right thigh. Your left hand comes to the inside edge of your left thigh and kind of hooks it. Your right arm comes around the left thigh. Now, first things first, you want to lift up through the spine. You want to root down through your left hip and then press your left knee into your right forearm. Right arm pulls into your left knee. And then think of scooping the belly on the left side as you let your right ribs come towards that inner left knee. And you just pause and you breathe. Pause and you breathe. Nice work. All right. On your next in-breath, you'll gently unwind. Go ahead and extend both legs long in front of you. And then you have the option of repeating what we did prior or taking both legs straight. So either knees bent or legs straight, but bring your hands back behind you. Fingertips face in the same direction as your toes. Bend your elbows, hug your shoulder blades together. And if your legs are straight, push down through the heels, push down through the hands, lift your hips, lift your legs. Maybe you look down the front of your body. Maybe your gaze comes forward. Maybe your gaze comes up, and maybe your head drops back. Keep lifting your pelvis up, pushing the hands down. When you're ready, chin comes to chest, pelvis lowers down to the floor, and then go ahead and take a moment to sit up. Great. All right. Last thing, well, not really, we got two more. Draw the soles of your feet together for Baddha Konasana. And this one is, again, another choose your own adventure. Some of you will stay right here and pull the heels of your hands towards, pull the hands towards the feet towards the pelvis, the heart comes forward. You might stay vertical. You might want to hinge forward. You do have your blocks, so maybe you bring your elbows to the blocks. Maybe you reach your hands forward and bring your forehead towards your feet. But you just take a moment to notice what feels appropriate for you, what allows you to essentially drop back into yourself. What allows your breath to become easier, what allows your breath to become full. And it's not even just your breath necessarily, but what's called your prana, your vitality, your chi, your life force. They all travel along the breaths in the body. So we want to keep our breath fluid and stable and just really alive, because that's how our energy gets to us and through us. So as you're here for these next 4 breath cycles, just notice where you might allow the body to soften a little bit so that more of that prana, that chi, that vitality can get to the parts of you that may need it. Okay, let's gently start to come up. Now, from this point, go ahead and hug your knees together with your hands. And you're going to come over onto hands and knees. Now, this is going to, particularly for you, Laura, I want you to be mindful. We're going to be on our shins and the tops of our feet for a little bit. Some of you will bring your blanket and put your blanket on the top of your lap. If your shins or ankles are sensitive, you'll put the blanket underneath you, but you choose what feels best for you. And the first thing you're going to do is push down into your thighs, lift up through your spine, and reach your belly forward towards your thighs. From there, reach your palms forward and create a diamond shape with your index fingers and your thumbs bending at your elbows. And then allow your forehead to drip towards the floor. And you're just going to breathe here for about, 10 breath cycles or so. And so we're in this very intentional child's pose. Um, and you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice. Just notice. Returning back to this very embryonic type shape. Noticing how the breath can really be full in the low back. Noticing how you can release any tension around the mouth, the shoulders. We've got about 2 more breath cycles here. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll start to walk your hands back and start to walk your spine up. And again, rolling up the spine just like we did throughout the majority of the class. And again, the shoulders might circle up, back, and down in order to really keep the chest open. And then from here, you'll close the eyes and you'll plant the palms on the top of your thighs. And notice if you want them to face up, that's for a sense of receptivity, or if you want them to face down, that's for a sense of groundedness. You choose whatever feels the best for you. And then again, we're trying to think of the heart space staying open. So we spend all that time doing those shoulder circles and hugging our shoulder blades together on our back so that our hearts can be open. And as you're here, we're going to just start to drop in a little bit. So I want you to first notice how you can find grounding through the shin bones. Find a weight into your pelvis. Find a length and ease in the vertebra. Find a softness in the shoulders and the neck. Find a sense of buoyancy in the skull. Relax the muscles in your mouth. Relax the muscles in your face, particularly around your eyes. Now bring your attention to your nose and to the tip of your nose in particular. And I just want you to watch the breath as it enters the body. And so you follow the breath in through the nostrils and see how far back and how far down you can stay with your breath. We'll just be here for a couple of minutes. So you're really just breathing in, seeing how far you can trace the breath, the actual anatomical breath on its route. Once you've allowed the breath to lead you inward, just go ahead and rest there. So maybe the breath is maybe in your heart space. Maybe that's where you feel it most present. Maybe it's in your abdomen. And you just take a couple breath cycles there, connecting with the breath in that part of your body. Some of you will choose to stay here for a little while longer. Some of you will make your way to your back for Shavasana. If you stay, make sure this is a position that is sustainable for you. And if you transition to Shavasana, make sure the position that you explore is one that is equally sustainable. So if you need to cover the body, cover the body. If you need to use supports, use support. Nice. Now, in this final position, we're going to do our last little breathing thing. So every time you inhale, I want you to experience, now this is your prana, your vitality, your life force. It rises up the body, so coming towards the crown. And as you exhale, it goes back down towards the feet. So inhaling, drawing your awareness, drawing the energy up the body. And as you exhale, you descend the energy down. The inhale draws the energy up towards the crown, and the exhale allows it to descend. And you'll just continue doing this kriya, which is an energetic practice, for a couple more minutes on your own. And I'll let you know when you can release the technique. Go ahead and release the technique and allow your breath to drop back into its natural involuntary rhythm. I'll leave you here with your breath for a couple more minutes. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice if there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape. If there's any part of you that wants to stay here, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready to move on, allow movement to re-enter into the body, whatever way feels interesting or supportive to you. Again, those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, will gently begin to make your way to one of your sides. Pause on your side for a couple of breath cycles. And then gently start to roll your chest more towards the floor. Use your hands to walk your spine up to vertical. And then elevate your pelvis on a block or a blanket. And then again, when you're vertical, take the opportunity to fidget around. If you need to remove flesh from underneath your sit bones, do that. Plant your palms wherever you can on your thighs, or your collarbones stay wide, your heart stays open. The gaze is either closed or the eyes are softly resting on the floor. Rather, the gaze is softly resting on the floor. And then notice if you can soften any part of the body. Maybe there's tension around the shoulders or the throat, the mouth, or the eyes. And just take 3 breaths here, letting the breath be both as simple as possible, as well as full and deep and expansive as possible. This fall reminds us sometimes, in order to get back to a state of equanimity or homeostasis, we have to strip things away. We have to retrograde, we have to go back in essence. And so, as we're entering this time where the trees remind us that it's okay to drop certain things in order to come back to our core so that we can once again spring forth with new life, I invite you to notice where in your life you might need to let some things go. You might need to take some steps back. And remind yourself that by doing so, you're giving yourself the greater ability to come forward, to bear fruit in whatever way feels appropriate for you in the coming seasons. Gently draw your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press your palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your heart, and then lift your thumbs towards, or rather, lift your heart towards your thumbs. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through the nose. Audible exhale out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the essence within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, and the essence within each of you. Namaste.